Commander Ahn Dojin couldn't stop the small smile from forming on his lips as he watched the assembled alien delegates in the vast chamber of the Galactic Council. The meeting room, carved from a single asteroid and held in space between 12 different worlds, had seen many declarations over the centuries, but this one was different. This one was about humans. The crystalline hegemony's ambassador rose to its full 10-foot height. Its body caught the starlight streaming through the transparent walls, casting rainbow patterns across the polished floor. Each movement created sounds like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. By the ancient laws of the 12 Worlds Coalition, we declare war upon the humans of Sol System, the crystal being spoke. Its voice translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. For 3,000 years, they have been contained. Now they violate the sacred quarantine. Their primitive expansion threatens the peace of all civilized worlds. Other alien delegates nodded their approval. The Vorthan with their 8 arms waved in agreement. The gas cloud beings of Nephis pulsed with satisfied blue light. They all remembered the ancient records, how the young human race had nearly wiped out the Vax Collective with crude kinetic weapons. The quarantine had saved the galaxy from these violent primates. Meanwhile, millions of light years away on Earth, President Park Mina sat in her office overlooking the bustling city of Neo-Sol. The morning sun painted the sky in soft pastels, and the smell of jasmine tea filled the air. She was about to take her first sip when the emergency broadcast interrupted her daily newsfeed. The alien ambassador's words echoed through her office speakers. Park Mina's eyes widened. Then she burst into laughter so hard that tea sprayed across her desk. After 3,000 years, now they're worried, she managed between chuckles. Her assistant rushed in, looking concerned. Madam President, should we let the people know? Mina said, wiping tears from her eyes. This is too good not to share. Within moments, the alien declaration was trending across every social media platform on Earth. Memes appeared faster than government censors could track them. Videos of people laughing at news screens spread like wildfire. The hashtag #ChunderAlienWarLol reached 1 billion uses in just 30 minutes. In a laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps, Dr. Kim Jun looked up from his microscope, where he had been studying alien DNA samples that officially didn't exist. His research terminal chimed with the emergency broadcast. After listening to the declaration, he shook his head and chuckled. Boss, his younger assistant said, they're declaring war. Faunus, shouldn't we be scared? Dr. Kim stood up, stretching muscles stiff from hours of work. At 68, he had spent his entire life studying aliens that his government claimed didn't exist. His collection of alien artifacts, biological samples, and technology filled 3 underground levels. Scared? Kim picked up a device that looked like a smartphone, but contained technology centuries ahead of Earth's official capabilities. After all these years, they still think we're trapped in our solar system. The assistant looked confused. Dr. Kim walked to the wall and pressed his hand against what appeared to be solid rock. A hidden door slid open, revealing a room filled with star charts showing human colonies scattered across the galaxy. The quarantine field they put around our solar system, Dr. Kim explained. We figured out how to bypass it in 2157. We've been their neighbors for over 2,000 years. Through secret passages and hidden bases across Earth, similar conversations took place. Military commanders smiled at weapons that made nuclear bombs look like firecrackers. Scientists chuckled at their technology that could fold space like paper. Diplomats who had been living on alien worlds under false identities for centuries reported back that their cover remained intact. In the old section of Tokyo, a street vendor selling noodles paused his work to check his phone. The news made him laugh so hard that customers thought he had gone crazy. What they didn't know was that this humble noodle cook was actually Colonel Yamamoto Hiroshi, who had spent 50 years gathering intelligence on Centauri Prime. The laughter spread around the world. School children giggled during classes, office workers shared jokes, and even religious leaders found humor in their sermons about the alien declaration. As the first day of the war ended, Earth slept peacefully. No panic filled the streets. No emergency shelters opened. Instead, late-night talk show hosts prepared their best alien jokes, and social media buzzed with excitement about what tomorrow might bring. On the space station, hidden behind Luna, Admiral Chen Wei looked at the readings from across the galaxy. Thousands of human colonies, millions of human agents embedded in alien societies, and weapons powerful enough to reshape star systems all waited for his command. He poured himself a cup of coffee and settled in to watch the alien fleet's approach. This would be interesting indeed. 3,000 years ago, Captain Li Sujin was just 25 when the sky above Earth filled with strange lights. She commanded the defense station orbiting Mars, equipped with humanity's best weapons at the time. Crude nuclear missiles and kinetic bombardment systems. The first alien ships appeared like silver tears in space. They were beautiful, with curved hulls that seemed to flow like liquid metal. The aliens called themselves the Vax Collective. They came in peace, they said through their translation devices. They wanted to share knowledge with the young human race. But something felt wrong to Captain Li. Her grandmother had taught her to trust her instincts, and those instincts screamed danger. When she saw the alien ships positioning themselves over Earth's major cities, she made a decision that changed galactic history. All stations, prepare for emergency bombardment, she ordered. Her crew hesitated. These were peace envoys after all. Trust me, she said quietly. Look at their formations. This isn't a diplomatic visit. The kinetic strike platforms fired solid tungsten rods at incredible speed. No explosions, no radiation, just pure kinetic energy. The rods punched through the alien shields like needles through paper. Ship after ship cracked and burned in Earth's atmosphere. The surviving aliens retreated, their peaceful masks dropped. Captain Li had been right. The Vax had planned to strip Earth of its resources and enslave humanity. But now they knew humans could fight back. Years later, a shimmering barrier appeared around Earth's solar system. Nothing could get in or out, not ships, not radio signals, not even light from Earth's sun. The aliens announced to the galaxy that the dangerous humans had been contained, locked away where they could hurt no one. Earth went dark to the universe. People panicked. Governments fell and rose again. Many thought it was the end of human civilization. But in a small research lab in Seoul, Dr. Choi Dong-ho's grandmother, Professor Kim So-young, studied the alien barrier day and night. She was 70 years old, her eyes weak from decades of research, but her mind still sharp as a blade. "It's not a prison," she told her grandson as he brought her tea one evening. The barrier hummed outside her window like a giant tuning fork. "It's a machine, and all machines can be understood." For 3 years she worked. She mapped every energy pattern, every fluctuation in the barrier. When other scientists gave up, she continued. When the government cut her funding, she sold her jewelry to buy equipment. Then on a quiet Tuesday morning, she cracked it. The barrier wasn't just keeping humans in, it was showing the aliens what they wanted to see. Earth appeared dormant, primitive, contained. But Professor Kim had found the gaps, the spaces between the energy waves where things could slip through. Her first success was a small probe, no bigger than a coin. It passed through the barrier without triggering any alarms. On the other side, it found the galaxy full of alien civilizations, all believing humans were safely locked away. Professor Kim gathered the world's leaders in her lab, the President of Korea, the Prime Minister of Britain, the Chairman of China. They all came. "We have a choice," she told them, pointing at the barrier that enclosed their world. "We can try to break this prison and fight our way out. We'll probably die. Or we can be smart." She showed them recordings from her probe. Alien. Worlds with their guards down, their technology, their weaknesses, their plans, all visible to small human spy devices that looked like space debris. "Let them think we're caged," she said. "We'll use this time wisely." The decision changed everything. While aliens celebrated the containment of dangerous humans, Earth transformed itself. Secret accelerator rings were built on the dark side of the moon. Hidden factories in underground caverns produced technologies that surpassed anything the aliens possessed. Most importantly, humans began to slip through the gaps Professor Kim had found. At first, just probes, then small drones. Finally, people. Dr. Jim Harrison was among the first humans to leave the solar system. He looked human enough to pass as a member of the Terran species from Proxima Centauri. He opened a small trading post, learned alien languages, made friends. Soon, thousands of humans lived throughout alien space. They became merchants, traders, researchers, diplomats. They married aliens, had children, started businesses, all while pretending to be citizens of various alien worlds the aliens never suspected. Why would they? Humans were safely locked away. In their solar system, posed no threat to anyone. By the end of the first 1,000 years, humans had colonies on 600 worlds. By the second 1,000, that number reached 10,000. They controlled major trade routes, influenced alien governments, and had their fingers on the pulse of galactic civilization. And through it all, the barrier remained. To the aliens, it still hummed with the same energy signature. Earth still appeared dead and contained. But inside the solar system, Professor Kim's descendants continued her work. They built the most powerful ships in the galaxy, developed weapons that could crack planets, and created technologies that seemed like magic. As the 3,000th year approached, Captain Park Jihan stood on the bridge of humanity's greatest warship, hidden behind the moon. He looked at the pictures on his wall, one of Captain Lee Sujin, the woman who fired the first shots, and another of Professor Kim So-young, the woman who gave humanity its greatest weapon, time. They're about to learn what 3,000 years of patience can build, he said to his crew. The barrier still hummed around them, still doing its job perfectly, still keeping the secret. The aliens thought they had caged Earth. They never realized they had given humanity the greatest gift possible, time to grow strong while remaining hidden. Admiral Young Sora checked her watch. In exactly 3 minutes, the alien fleet would enter the outer edge of what they believed was the quarantine zone around Earth. Her finger traced the edge of her command console, feeling the smooth metal that contained technology no alien had ever seen. The bridge of the UES Eternal was quiet, except for the soft hum of quantum processors. Around her, crew members moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment their entire lives, as had their parents and grandparents before them. "Admiral," whispered Lieutenant Beihayuno from the sensor station, "enemy fleet has entered our detection range. 200 ships advancing in standard formation." Sora nodded. Through her neural link, she felt the presence of 50 other human ships, all invisible to alien sensors. They hung in space like ghosts, their quantum stealth fields bending light and energy around them. "All stations, this is Admiral Young," she spoke into her communicator. "Operation Homecoming begins now. Remember, we've waited 3,000 years for this moment." The alien fleet moved forward like a dark cloud against the stars. Their ships were massive, some the size of mountains, powered by fusion reactors and protected by energy shields that had never been broken in recorded galactic history. Admiral Keelax of the Crystalline Hegemony stood in his flagship's command center, his mineral body glowing with satisfaction. The barrier around Earth still hummed with the same frequency it had for 3 millennia. Behind it, the primitive humans waited like animals in a cage. Suddenly, alarms screamed across every alien ship. Sensors that had shown empty space now detected energy signatures everywhere. Ships materialized from nothing, appearing in perfect formation around the alien fleet. "Impossible," breathed Keelax. The human ships defied every law of physics he knew. They seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. "Unknown vessels," his communications officer transmitted. "You should not possess such technology. Surrender immediately." On the bridge of the Eternal, Admiral Sora smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Captain No Jinwoo," she said to her communications officer, "broadcast the package." Every screen in the alien fleet lit up simultaneously. The commanding officers watched in horror as intimate details of their lives filled their displays. Personal conversations they thought were private played back word for word. Military strategies they believed were secret were laid out in perfect detail. Captain Jinwoo's voice carried across all channels, speaking in perfect galactic standard. "Greetings, Captain Villani of the Third Spiral Fleet. We know your son Dex just started at the Crystal Academy. We know he's worried about his quantum mechanics final exam next week." In his command chamber, Captain Villani's tentacles writhed, in shock. No outsider should know his son's name. The broadcast continued. "General Thox of the Void Hunter Battalion, your mate is pregnant with your third offspring. She's been hiding it because she knows you want a warrior, not a scholar." "General," Thox roared in fury and disbelief. "Admiral Kelax," Captain Jinwoo continued, his voice carrying a hint of amusement, "we know about your secret collection of Earth music. You particularly enjoy something called the Beatles, don't you?" Admiral Kelax felt his crystalline form, dim with embarrassment. That guilty pleasure was supposed to be private. "And Commander Zilks," the broadcast went on, "we know your people's mating dance involves 7 precise movements, performed only during your homeworld's double moon phase. Shall we demonstrate?" Commander Zilks nearly fainted as holographic humans performed his species' most sacred ritual perfectly. The alien fleet hesitated, their formations wavering. These weren't the primitive humans from their historical records. These beings knew everything. Dr. Yara Quinn, the fleet's chief biologist, stared at her scanner readings. "Sir," she reported to Admiral Kelax, "their ships are using technologies we've never seen. They're folding space, manipulating time itself." "How is this possible?" Kelax demanded. His voice cracked like stressed crystal. On the human ships, officers, who had lived entire lifetimes pretending to be aliens, smiled at familiar faces among their enemies. Captain Hong Minji recognized Admiral Kelax from the trade station where she'd worked undercover for 30 years. Commander Park Dongyun saw General Thox, who had been his student at the Galactic Military Academy. "Every detail about your armor, your weapons, your strategies," Admiral Sora broadcasted on all frequencies. "We've been watching for 3,000 years. We've been your neighbors, your friends, your students and teachers. We know you better than you know yourselves." The alien fleet stopped advancing. Panic spread through their ranks as crew members realized the truth. The humans hadn't been trapped. They'd been preparing. Admiral Kelax felt the weight of 3 millennia pressing down on him. The containment field had never been holding humans in. It had been keeping the truth out. "What do you want?" he finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. Admiral Sora's smile grew wider. "First, you're going to dismiss this entire fleet and return to your homeworlds. Then we're going to have a conversation about the future of galactic civilization. And Captain Kelax, yes? Tell Dex good luck on his exam. We've been tutoring him in quantum mechanics for the past 6 months. He'll do fine." The silence that followed was deafening. The great alien armada, pride of 12 civilizations, hung motionless in space as the truth crashed over them like a tidal wave. They had been played. For 3,000 years, they had been completely and utterly played. The first alien ship fired its main cannon, a beam of pure energy that could vaporize a city. The blast struck the Eternal directly, but instead of exploding, the human ship simply rippled like water. "Energy absorbed," Lieutenant Kang Minji reported calmly. "Converting to shield power." Admiral Sora nodded. 40 years of studying alien. Weapons had taught humans exactly how to deal with them. "Captain O, begin Phase 1. Captain O Sungmin smiled as he activated his tactical squadron. Space itself began to tear. Small holes in reality opened behind alien ships, like windows, into blackness. From these impossible angles, human vessels emerged. The alien commander of the Void Breaker watched in horror as a human ship materialized inside his own shields. It fired once, a single, precise shot that shut down every system on the massive. "Alien vessel! What just happened?" he screamed at his crew. "Dimensional breach, sir," his science officer replied, her voice shaking. "They're using folded space as a weapon." Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships popped in and out of reality like bubbles. They struck with surgical precision, never killing, just disabling. Within minutes, the entire alien armada floated helplessly in space. General Thox pounded his fists against his dead controls. "How do they do this? It's impossible." Lieutenant Colonel Park Insu, who had replaced his alien identity devices with human uniform, stood on a human ship nearby. Through the communication channel, he answered, "Nothing is impossible when you have 3,000 years to figure it out, General. Thox recognized the voice. Park, you're human? But you've been my tactical advisor for 20 years. 22 years, 4 months and 16 days, Park corrected. I helped plan your battle strategies. I also helped design the weapons that just defeated them. Admiral Kalax felt his crystalline body crack with stress. The quarantine field still hummed around Earth, but now he understood its true purpose. It wasn't keeping humans in, it was keeping alien attention out while humanity grew beyond imagination. Warning. Shot complete, Lieutenant Kang reported. All alien shields down. All propulsion systems disabled. Enemy weapons offline. Admiral Sora stood up, her posture straight and proud. She opened a channel to every alien ship in the fleet. Attention, alien coalition, surrender now. You gave us 3,000 years to prepare. Thank you for the motivation. Her words echoed through the alien fleet. 3,000 years. They had given humanity 3 millennia to study, learn, and surpass them in every way. Admiral, came. A weak voice from the alien flagship. It was Admiral Kalax. We surrender, Sora nodded. Good decision. Now let me show you something interesting. She activated a galactic display. Points of light appeared across the star map. Thousands upon thousands of them. Each point is a human colony, she explained calmly. We've been living among you since the year 847 of our containment. We've run your businesses, taught in your schools, served in your militaries. Captain Villani stared at the display in shock. The trader who sold us quantum crystals last month. Human, confirmed Captain Jinwu. The engineer who designed your new engines 3 years ago. Human. The diplomat who negotiated the Terran peace accords. Also human. By the void, whispered Dr. Yara Quinn. You've been everywhere. You've known our every move for centuries. Admiral Sora's expression softened slightly. Captain Kim Dongwu, please drop your disguise. On Admiral Kalax's own ship, one of his most trusted officers shimmered. His alien form dissolved to reveal a middle-aged human man in a Galactic Coalition uniform. Hello, old friend, Captain Kim said to Admiral Kalax. I've enjoyed serving with you these past 30 years. Kalax collapsed into his command chair. Dongwu, you're human? But we served together in the frontier wars. You saved my life on Kepler 442. Kim nodded. And you saved mine on Tau Ceti. That wasn't pretend, Admiral. My respect for you has always been real. Similar revelations rippled through the fleet. Officers discovered that teammates they'd known for decades were human. Scientists realized their research partners were from Earth. Soldiers found out their battle brothers were the very species they'd come to destroy. Were you watching us this whole time? Admiral Kalax finally asked, his voice broken. Every moment, Admiral Sora replied gently. Every conversation, every strategic meeting. We've been your neighbors for centuries. We married your people, raised families together, shared your joys and sorrows. She paused, letting that sink in. We could have destroyed you at any point in the last 1,000 years. Instead, we chose to live beside you, to learn from you, to become part of your communities. The alien fleet hung in defeated silence. They had come to war against primitives and found instead that they had been embracing the enemy for millennia. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Sojin, who had been posing as a Centaurian trader, spoke from her human ship. The cafe where you had your morning meal on Proxima Station, Admiral Kalax. I've been the manager there for 15 years. You always order bitter root with extra foam. Kalax's crystal shell cracked further. The human had known his habits, his schedules, his preferences. She could have poisoned him 1,000 times over. We never wanted war, Admiral Sora continued. We wanted coexistence. You forced our hand by breaking the peace we've maintained together. Dr. Yara Quinn asked the question weighing on everyone's mind. What happens now? Admiral Sora looked out at the stars where human and alien children played together on thousands of worlds. Now we finish what we should have started 3,000 years ago. We build a future together, as equals, not enemies. The battle was over in minutes, but the war had ended 3 millennia ago, when the first human agent walked onto an alien world and chose friendship over revenge. President Park Mina stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. Beings, From 12 different species filled the great assembly hall on Harmony Station. Humans and aliens sat side by side, many meeting face to face without disguises for the first time. The broadcast reached every inhabited world in known space. In homes and public squares, beings watched their leaders gather to decide the future of galactic civilization. 3 days ago, you came to destroy us, President Park began, her voice calm and clear. Today, we sit together not as enemies, but as neighbors who have hidden from each other too long. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Many aliens still struggled to accept the truth that humans had lived among them for centuries. We stand at a crossroads, President Park continued. We can continue the old ways, with hatred and fear dividing us, or we can build something new together. We offer partnership, not domination. But let me be clear. Earth will lead the new Galactic Union. Admiral Kalax rose from his seat, his crystalline form catching the light. And if we refuse? President Park looked at him with sad eyes. Then you choose isolation, the quarantine, field remains. You cut yourself off from 3,000 years of human advancement, human colonies, human innovation. The alien delegate from the Void Hunters leaned forward. You would abandon our peoples who have married humans, our mixed families. Those bonds transcend species, President Park replied. They are proof that we belong together. In the diplomatic section, Ambassador Han Gyunwoo watched the proceedings carefully. Beside him sat Ambassador Kilesh, an old friend who had just learned that half his trading partners were human. Han, Kilesh whispered, what choice do we have? Ambassador Han smiled sadly. The same choice you gave us 3,000 years ago. Adapt or perish. The words hung in the air like a challenge and a mirror. The aliens had once forced this exact decision on humanity. Now the tables had turned. Over the following months, negotiations continued. Some alien worlds chose isolation, maintaining the old barriers. But most chose integration, overwhelmed by the reality of how interwoven their lives had become with humanity. Dr. Sarah Kim, a xenobiologist who had spent her life studying supposedly fictional alien species, now worked openly with alien scientists. Their combined team made breakthrough discoveries that benefited all species. The knowledge we've hidden from each other, she told her mixed research team. Imagine what we can accomplish together. Captain No Jinwoo married his longtime partner, a Centaurian woman he had loved for 40 years while pretending to be an alien trader. Their wedding became a symbol of the new age. 1 year after the failed invasion, the former Galactic Council officially became the Human-led Interstellar Federation. The ceremony took place on Unity Station, built in neutral space between 12 different worlds. Children filled the station's schools, human children learning alien languages they could finally speak openly, alien children fascinated by human technology and culture. Young beings who had been taught to fear each other now played together in floating parks under artificial skies. On Earth, Minister Yu Jong-yun stood before a new memorial. Its crystal walls recorded the names of everyone who had maintained the great secret for 3 millennia. Humans who had lived their entire lives on alien worlds, agents who had died protecting the deception, scientists who had spent lifetimes studying technologies they couldn't reveal they understood. They taught us patience, Minister Yu said to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens gathered for the dedication. We've learned well. A young, half-human, half-Christek child tugged on his coat. Why did it take so long, Grandfather Yu? Minister. Yu knelt down to face her. Sometimes, little star, the biggest changes need the most time to grow. He looked up at the crowd. Humans embracing alien friends they hadn't seen in years. Alien families reuniting with human members. Children of mixed heritage running freely between groups that had once been enemies. Better late than never, he added with a slight smile that carried the weight of 3,000 years. Old Captain Lee Sujin, now 150 years old thanks to human medical advances, watched from her wheelchair. As the woman who had fired the first shots in humanity's long journey, she felt pride in seeing the peace her sacrifice had made possible. The war we won, she whispered to Minister Yu, wasn't fought with weapons. Around them, the new galactic society took its first steps. Markets opened that sold goods from both human and alien worlds. Communication networks connected families separated by light years and species. Universities welcomed students who had grown up believing other species were myths. The quarantine field around Earth finally came down, but its purpose had long since changed. What had begun as a prison had become the cocoon for humanity's transformation. Ambassador Han Gunwu shook hands with Ambassador Kalax as they signed the final integration documents. To friendship discovered late, but not too late. Kalax nodded, his crystal body chiming softly. To the future we should have built together 3,000 years ago. As the ceremony ended, ships from dozens of worlds launched into hyperspace, carrying beings home to share news of the new galaxy they would build together. The great deception was over. The greatest partnership in galactic history had begun.